Hi, I'm Mayor Christopher Cabaldon. We're here with another update on the COVID-19 situation and the local response. We've continued to have additional cases in the county of Yolo, but I first want to say thank you to everyone in the community who has been vigilantly following the public health orders from Yolo County and from the state of California. It's absolutely essential that we continue to stay home, that when we have to go out, that we're maintaining social distance, and that we're going out only for the most essential of activities. We're doing a good job here in our community and in our county and throughout California. But the biggest surge that we're concerned about in terms of the capacity of our medical system is still to come. So we cannot let up. We have to maintain the solidarity that our community has shown, both in terms of following and complying with all of the health orders and requirements, but also in terms of stepping up and supporting one another as West Sacramentans. So today I'm pleased to have us joined by Yolo County Supervisor Oscar Villegas. Yolo County is at the heart of the response to the COVID-19 situation in our community because Yolo County is responsible for public health. The city, we do police and fire and sewers and water and roads and parks and other local issues. But the county is the center of the health and human services in our community and throughout the region. As well as the justice system, agricultural protection, and the economy here, support for towns and villages and farmers throughout the region. But in this case, it's the county public health officer supported by the Board of Supervisors that has issued the health orders and that is responsible for the direct response to the COVID-19 situation. So Yolo County Supervisor Oscar Villegas is here to join me today. And Supervisor Villegas is well known here in West Sacramento. He represents nearly the entire city on the Board of Supervisors. Also served as a city council member here in West Sacramento for many, many years, including many years as the vice mayor of West Sacramento. And he's a stalwart leader in our community and throughout the county and the state on a range of issues around criminal justice, protecting the Delta, supporting the small towns of our region, our community, but also a real partner with West Sacramento city government in terms of making sure that we have a strong economy, we're socially inclusive, and that our residents get what they need from the really important services that Yolo County has to offer. And Supervisor Villegas has been at the heart of the response countywide and in our community to the COVID-19 situation. So welcome, Supervisor Villegas.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Mayor.
So, Supervisor, I know your board has just recently met for a comprehensive update about the COVID-19 situation. And maybe you could tell us, like, what's the county's role in the COVID-19 status? A lot of our residents, as you know, unless they're on a jury or own a farm or need indigent health care, they may not know all of what the county does. But in this particular case, the county is really central to the response, right?
Yeah, all counties are at this point. I think a lot of us are going to learn a lot more about what exactly counties do. But in particular, this situation, the county has a public health officer, as you've heard, and that public health officer, once a situation occurs as we're experiencing right now, that authority extended to the public health officer really does sort of trump much of what the county systems include, right? So he now has authority to issue very direct orders that are enforceable by law enforcement for purposes of managing the pandemic. And so that's just one example of something that probably most folks didn't know the counties could do.
Yeah, that's a really important point. I know I'm hearing, you probably are too, from a lot of West Sacramentans who have questions about the order like that. How long is it going to go? Can it be extended to this or that? And why isn't the order banned the use of shopping carts or what have you? And I think it comes as a surprise to a lot of folks that the city we don't have anything to do with writing the order. I know that Dr. Chapman, your public health officer, has gotten a lot of good feedback and input, but ultimately it's his decision, and the city has nothing to do with it other than to enforce it and to educate folks about it. I think it's, in some sense, it's reassuring that a public health doctor is the one that's responsible for this directly and has the full authority under the law in order to make this stuff happen. And it isn't something that's been left to either to me or to the Board of Supervisors, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, we're actually quite fortunate here in Yolo County to have Dr. Chapman as our public health officer. He's recognized throughout the state. He actually served at the state level most recently before coming to Yolo County. So we're very fortunate with his experience and his leadership in this issue. He's been really out in front. A lot of folks have leaned on him for guidance, and we're very fortunate to have him here in Yolo County. We just learned just earlier today that the likelihood of extending it is extremely high. He's looking at additional data points to make that decision. That information is going to be coming out here very quickly, but following suit with what everybody else is doing, it's sort of a no-brainer that the shelter-in-place order that he has issued will be extended, like in all likelihood, through the rest of the month.
Okay, so that I know that the Bay Area counties did that, just did that. I mean, just before we started talking, actually. And Yolo County was one of the first in the state to join with the Bay Area counties when the shelter-in-place order first started, way back way back then. Right, so I know as a mayor and also just as a resident concerned about health, Yolo County's sort of forward leadership in this has been really important in terms of protecting both the medical personnel, but I know the city we're also concerned about our ability to protect firefighters and the water treatment plant operators and the other essential personnel that are going to be critical as the surge of cases and that start to enter the medical system arrives in the next couple of weeks.
Right, yeah.
So Dr. Chapman, have any other information to update the county or the community about in terms of the situation right now?
He did. He had a couple things that I wanted to share with you. So one of which was, I think he's a little bit frustrated that we've not had the capacity to test more frequently than we're currently doing. Although the labs, the commercial labs that are now available and ready and willing to test is fine, but the fact of the matter is that the testing kits have not been available enough to test. So he really does believe that what we're experiencing at this moment really is the tip of the iceberg. Effective today, we've got now 25 cases. We're very fortunate we've only had one death, but again, there are 25 cases as of today. And I think he's a little frustrated that we've not been able to test more frequently. He is concerned that if the current order isn't followed to the fidelity that he would hope, that we will have to ratchet up. He indicated that at the board meeting this morning, that he does believe that if the data points that he continues to look at are not trending in the right direction, we will have to ratchet up. So that's just another reminder how incredibly important the order is.
Yeah, no, that's really good, really important to emphasize. And I know, I got my first bike ride in today since this whole thing started, and I know you try to stay out healthy as well, and saw folks out using the trails and the parks in the right ways, right? Not gathering, maintaining appropriate distance, but we've also seen plenty of folks not really observing those rules, and out there playing basketball or having a family picnic or just like meeting up with other people who have and who are walking their dogs too, and say, hey, can I pet your dog or whatever. And I know I'm really worried. I've shared with the community that we have to, if we don't self-police and not do those things, then we're going to end up pushing the public health officer into a corner where the only way to stop those kinds of gatherings and challenges is to bar most outdoor activity, which would be a tragedy for physical and mental health. But it's on us, really. I know Dr. Chapman's not rushing to do that. Neither is the governor. But we may leave them no choice. So Yolo County is also you also are mounting a lot of services and other responses to the epidemic and to the challenges that it's posing for many residents who depend on the safety net that Yolo County provides as well. What's the status of that's happening in Yolo County?
Yeah, so as you know, I mean, a lot of what the safety net systems that the county manages include a lot of folks who are underrepresented, who have health issues, who have a lot of challenges that require additional assistance when times like this surface. And so we got an update today from the Health and Human Services branch. We got an update from the adult aging branch. As you can imagine, a lot of our seniors are very worried, especially those that have compromised immune systems or have existing upper respiratory conditions that make them much more vulnerable. And then in addition, we got an update from both the Sheriff's Department and the Probation Department, because as you know, our public safety system is incredibly important and those systems need to maintain. So we got brief updates from the respective department heads in those agencies to make sure that people could rest at night knowing that our system is continuing to work, that those essential employees are continuing to be cared for, because just because their work is essential doesn't mean that things at home are not are being taken care of. They still have to manage their home life as well as continue to provide services to the rest of the county for during the course of their workday. And so here's just a couple of slides of some information that we were provided earlier today as well.
Yeah, and these are information that's been shared. It's the latest information that's been shared with Supervisor Villegas and his colleagues on the Board of Supervisors. But it's also available at Yolo County's website and at many of these agencies, and also through the City of West Sacramento's updates as well. Information about health, access to health care, food, of course, the health orders themselves. Just a lot of good resources that are out there for residents of West Sacramento and the rest of Yolo County to be able to find out what's really going on.
I think there's one thing I'd like to add, if I could. One of the things that I think most of us are worried about is how are these folks who don't have the capacity to go out and buy food ordinarily, let alone now during a more difficult time. And I got to tell you, the Yolo County Food Bank has stepped up in the biggest possible way. They're still looking for volunteers, but the reality is, on average now, the last couple of weeks, they've distributed over 63,000 pounds of food throughout the county. And West Sacramento is very well represented. We have a lot of wonderful volunteers that have stepped up. So a lot of those folks that are traditionally expecting help with their food, they're getting that food. So that's a thing that does feel good, knowing that people that are expecting that service are continuing to get it.
Yeah, it's been really, all the investment and the partnership and the collaborations in the food system here locally are really paying off in terms of the resilience that's there. Whether it's the food bank, the things that local supermarkets are doing, restaurants that are just trying to stay alive just so that they can get food to folks who need it. All the volunteers, the urban farmers, and some of our other partners, and of course the school district, which has been incredible in terms of its support for students and families as well. And then all sort of linked together through the county. So this is an area where we have a lot to do. Obviously, there's still some massive challenges here, but looking around the country, Yolo County and West Sacramento are definitely examples of a place where the food system's been resilient and people have been stepping up, which has been really terrific.
That's right. There's a couple other things I wanted to make sure. I know I've gotten a lot of inquiries from the public. Obviously, they're very concerned about the issues of homelessness. I'm very proud that we just today were able to get over 100 people now in Yolo County into shelters, into motel rooms. We've been working 24 hours a day to make sure, because again, that's another vulnerable group. And we've had pretty good efforts today working with our homeless population, but we really doubled down on our efforts. And so as of just a few minutes ago, we were notified that over 100 people now are housed in motels throughout the county, and they're getting food. So we're continuing to wrap around those services so that nobody gets left behind.
Yeah, I think of those over 100 homeless individuals who've been placed in housing, I think if the numbers that I've seen most lately are correct, that nearly half of those are West Sacramentans. Those are West Sacramento folks who are experiencing homelessness and who now have shelter as a result, and that's like nearly 50. And in the context of the census of homeless individuals that was taken in January, which is just one night every single year, where the point in time count is done for homeless. Our number has been about 80, 85, 86 folks experiencing unsheltered homelessness in the city every year for the last 5 or 6 years. We've had a pretty stable unsheltered homeless population. So 80 or 85 or so. So housing nearly 50 is a big deal. It's a significant step forward, and it isn't just the roof, as you say. It's making sure that we're able to provide some basic connection to other services as well as food, and the access to employment services and other things that the county's also been a great partner on. So I think it's another example of at least where there's a lot to do, and there's still a lot of folks out on the streets that don't have shelter, and we have a lot more work to do. But I think it's also an example of the key partners, nonprofits, volunteers, and the governments all coming together in order to try to respond.
Another thing that I'd like to share, I think folks need to know, we just got this information as well just a little bit ago. So as you can imagine, there are a lot of folks who are losing their work, but at the same time, there are a lot of jobs that are being created as a result of a lot of shift in what folks are doing in our community. A lot of the big employers have contacted our employment services. So as of today, we now have, actually I think it's starting tomorrow, there will be a person available all day long to answer calls for folks who are looking for work. There are a lot of jobs available as we speak. And so I can provide a number for folks who are looking for work, even if it's temporary, but there is a lot of opportunities right now. So if you want to call the county's employment office at 530-661-2641, or you can just call 211. And they'll get you connected, but there are a lot of jobs right now. They're hiring almost on the spot. So I would encourage folks who are looking for work and are worried about it to take advantage of it.
Terrific. Well, we got actually quite a few questions from over Twitter and Facebook and the rest of social media, but you've answered all of them. So terrific. And the number one question was, what's going to happen with the order, and is it going to get extended? And although you didn't make an announcement, appreciate the the heads up. It wouldn't be a bad idea to plan for the order to get extended. That time frame is also the time frame I should add for schools in West Sacramento and throughout Yolo County. Today, the Washington Unified School District and the Yolo County Superintendent of Schools both announced that the school will not be returning before May 1st. So the closures of local public schools here in West Sacramento have been extended to at least May 1st. And those same rules apply to the city's preschools that we operate, Learning Ladder and Discovery preschools as well. So all of those services are on hold in order to protect the health and safety, both of the children, but also of the school staff. And again, thanks to Washington Unified for its preparations, both on food, but also in terms of lesson planning and other things that have really put them at the vanguard in the region of providing support in a really challenging time for a lot of families who are dealing with all of this, but in particular dealing with trying to make sure that their kids don't experience learning loss or hunger or other kinds of issues as a result of the crisis. All right, so I want to thank Supervisor Oscar Villegas, West Sacramento's own, for joining us for today's update, and look for a new update soon. So please, West Sacramento, again, thanks so much for your continued vigilance and your solidarity around complying with the orders, but also supporting one another. And we've heard today about some of the opportunities that are out there, some of the efforts to try to deal with some of the worst challenges, and also to make sure that we leave nobody behind in this community. We're nowhere near through the woods yet, but we are getting there. And the kind of pragmatic, tough, let's just get it, roll our sleeves up and get it done, West Sacramento attitude is going to be what we need to make it through this one. We always have, and we will again. Thanks, Oscar Villegas, for joining us. Please stay safe out there, West Sacramento.
Thank you.